Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we're diving into a tense new chapter. Right as Jack thinks he's finally getting good news, an unknown number sends a chilling warning. If you want your home to stay peaceful, stop talking to the police. What happens next could change everything for Jack, Tu Tien, and little Anna. If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next episodes. The hospital hallway feels like it has its own weather. Too bright, too cold, and always moving even when you're standing still. Jack sits with his back against the wall, both hands wrapped around a paper cup of tea he hasn't touched. Every few seconds he looks up at the digital screen above the nurse's station, like the numbers might rearrange themselves into an answer. Behind the closed door, Tu Tien is finishing the last set of tests. She'd tried to smile when they rolled her bed away, tried to make it look like this was just another tired day, like the last few weeks haven't been a storm stacked on top of a storm. Jack's phone vibrates in his palm. Instinct makes his shoulders tighten. He glances at the screen, sees no name, and for a half second the air in his lungs stops. But it isn't another threat. It's the hospital calling his number back to the desk. "Mr. Jack," a nurse says when he answers. "The doctor will see you both now." Jack stands so quickly his cup tips and spills a thin line of tea across the floor. He doesn't even notice. He wipes his hands on his pants and walks fast, trying to look calm, trying to look like a man who isn't hanging by a thread. Inside the consultation room, Tu Tien is already seated on the edge of the bed. Her hair is slightly messy, her face pale in a way she can't hide under fluorescent lights. Still, when she sees him, she forces a small smile. "You're okay?" Jack asks, voice low. "I'm here," she says softly. "That's something." The doctor flips through a folder, the kind of calm that comes from seeing 100 anxious families a day. "All right," the doctor begins, glancing at them both. "I know you've been very worried. Let me be clear, what we're seeing is not immediately life-threatening." Jack feels his chest loosen so suddenly it almost hurts. Tu Tien doesn't move. Her hands stay folded in her lap, knuckles slightly white. The doctor continues. Her body is run down. Stress, lack of sleep, and poor recovery time can make symptoms flare in ways that look frightening. The nosebleeds, the dizziness, the fever spikes, those are real, but they are also manageable. Jack leans forward. "So, what do we do?" "Medication," the doctor says, tapping the notes. "Daily, consistent, hydration, real meals, and rest that actually counts. No pushing through, no pretending nothing is happening." Tu Tien gives a tiny nod, like she's accepting a sentence she already expected. The doctor looks directly at her. "You can go home today, but you must treat it seriously. You are not fine just because you aren't in danger. If you ignore your body, it will force you to listen later." Jack exhales through his nose, a shaky kind of breath. "Thank you," he says. "Thank you for saying it clearly." The doctor stands. "We'll schedule follow-up appointments. If symptoms worsen or change, you come back immediately." When the doctor steps out, the room goes quiet in a different way. Not fear quiet. More like the quiet after a heavy door finally opens. Jack sits beside Tu Tien and reaches for her hand. It's still colder than his. "You heard him," Jack says. "We do this properly." Tu Tien's eyes glisten, not from pain this time, something closer to relief mixed with embarrassment. "I'm sorry," she whispers. "I thought I was protecting you." Jack shakes his head. "You don't protect me by bleeding in secret." Her lips tremble. "I didn't want to be the reason you lost everything." Jack squeezes her hand gently. "You are the reason I'm still standing. That's the truth." A nurse returns with discharge papers and a small bag of medication. Jack takes it like it's fragile glass. "I'll handle everything," he tells the nurse. "Just tell me what time the pharmacy closes." The nurse smiles politely. "You're not the first husband to say that today." Jack almost laughs. Almost. 2 hours later, Tu Tien is dressed in warmer clothes, leaning lightly on his arm as they walk out of the ward. She moves carefully, trying not to show weakness, but Jack can feel how much weight she's letting him carry. Outside, the night air hits them like a wall, sharp, winter cold, filled with traffic noise and street food smells that suddenly feel unreal after the sterile hospital scent. Jack guides her into his car. He adjusts the seatbelt himself, then shuts the door gently like he's putting a child to bed. Before he gets in, he pauses, phone already in his hand. He calls Mother Ly. She answers immediately. "Jack?" "We're discharged," he says, and he hears his own voice crack on the word. "The doctor says it's not life-threatening. She needs medicine and rest, real rest." On the other end, a long breath. "Thank God," Mother Ly whispers. "How's Anna?" Jack asks. "Sleeping," she says. "She woke up once and called for her mom, but she fell back asleep after I held her." Jack closes his eyes. Even in relief, guilt slips in. "We're coming home," he says. "Can you stay a little longer? Just until I get Tu Tien settled." "Of course," Mother Ly replies. "Drive carefully." Jack hangs up, slides into the driver's seat, and starts the engine. Tu Tien turns her face toward the window, watching the lights slide by. For a while, neither of them speaks. The car's warmth slowly fills the space between them. Finally, Jack says, "When we get home, you go straight to bed." Tu Tien lets out a small, tired laugh. "And you?" "I make soup," Jack answers. "And I mess it up. And your mum laughs at me." "That sounds accurate," she says. And for the first time all day, the smile reaches her eyes. When they pull into their lane, the dogs start barking before Jack even parks. He usually loves that sound. Tonight it feels like proof that life is still here, still waiting. Jack gets out, walks around, and opens Tu Tien's door again. She tries to stand on her own, stubborn reflex. "Don't," Jack says gently. "Not tonight." He helps her up, one hand steadying her elbow. Inside, Mother Ly is waiting near the doorway. The house smells like warm rice and ginger tea. It's the simplest comfort, but it hits Jack so hard he has to swallow. Tu Tien steps inside and freezes when she sees Anna asleep on the mat near the door. The toddler's 2 little braids are slightly crooked from rolling around in sleep. Her tiny hand is curled around a stuffed toy. Tu Tien's face softens completely. Jack watches her kneel slowly and touch Anna's cheek with one finger. "She's okay," Mother Ly whispers. "She missed you." Tu Tien's eyes fill. "I missed her too." Jack crouches down and lifts Anna carefully. The child stirs, blinks, and then her expression changes in a split second from confusion to recognition. "Mum," Anna mumbles in her toddler voice, reaching for Tu Tien. Tu Tien takes her, holding her close, pressing her cheek to the child's hair like she's afraid the moment will vanish. Jack stands there, watching them, feeling like he's looking at something he almost lost without realizing how close it came. "Let's get you both comfortable," he says. He guides Tu Tien to the bedroom, helps her sit, then pulls the blanket back. Anna climbs onto the bed beside her mother, still half asleep, clinging like a little magnet. Mother Ly appears with a cup of warm water and the first dose of medicine. "Take this now," she says firmly, the kind of firm that doesn't invite argument. Tu Tien takes it without protest. Jack sits at the edge of the bed, eyes moving between the pill bottle and his wife's face. "You rest," he says again, softer this time. "I'll be right here." Tu Tien looks at him, voice barely above a whisper. "And your project?" Jack's jaw tightens. The name Min Hung tries to crawl back into the room. He shakes his head. "Tonight, you're the only project." A small laugh escapes her, shaky but real. Jack stands, walks into the kitchen, and starts heating a pot. He doesn't know if soup will fix anything. He knows it won't. But he needs to do something with his hands besides shake. His phone vibrates again. He looks down, and this time, the name on the screen stops him cold. "Officer Thu." Jack answers immediately. "Officer?" Her voice is fast, controlled. "I heard your wife was taken in tonight. Is she stable?" Jack's eyes flick toward the bedroom door. "She's discharged, medication and rest." "Good," Thu says. "Now listen carefully. We caught the 2 arson suspects. They're in custody. We're taking statements and I will update you with everything we confirm." Jack grips the phone so hard his fingers ache. For a moment he can't speak. 2 good news in one day, he thinks. After so many nights of bad. Finally, he says, "Are you sure?" "I'm sure," Officer Thu replies. "But don't celebrate yet. We still need to know who sent them and why. Stay reachable." Jack swallows. "I'm reachable." He hangs up, standing in the kitchen with the pot starting to steam, his mind suddenly split between relief and the next wave of fear he can already feel forming. Because if they caught the arson suspects tonight, then someone out there is going to panic tomorrow. And Jack knows exactly where he will be, right here, trying to keep his family safe, while the outside world starts pushing back harder than ever. The discharge papers feel unreal in Jack's hands. A doctor repeats the sentence Jack keeps replaying. Tu Tien's condition isn't life-threatening. She needs medication, rest, and follow-ups. No heavy work, no stress. Tu Tien sits in a thick sweater, still pale but steadier. Beside her, Anna, 15 months old, 2 small braids, tugs at Tu Tien's hospital wristband like it's treasure. Jack keeps a hand at Tu Tien's back as they leave the ward. In the lobby, Mother Ly and Uncle Dung are waiting. Mother Ly hugs Tu Tien, carefully whispering thanks under her breath. Jack drives them home in his car, heater low. Tu Tien sits in the passenger seat with Anna on her lap, gently bouncing her. Jack tries to focus on the road, but his eyes keep flicking to Tu Tien's reflection. "You don't have to watch me every second," Tu Tien murmurs. "I do," Jack says. "I'm done guessing." At home, Mother Ly makes Tu Tien sit on the couch immediately. Uncle Dung brings a pillow. Jack lays a blanket over her shoulders, ignoring her small protest. Anna wobbles to her mat and starts stacking plastic cups, humming like nothing in the world is wrong. In the kitchen, Jack boils water for Tu Tien's medicine. While he's opening the packet, his phone buzzes. "Officer Thu." "Both arson suspects are in custody. We're taking statements now." Jack reads it twice, then walks back in, relief breaking through his voice. "They caught the 2 men who burned the warehouse. They're in custody." Tu Tien's eyes widen. Mother Ly closes her eyes like she's praying. Uncle Dung nods once, hard. Anna chooses that moment to clap for no reason, and the shaky laugh that follows feels like air returning to the house. Jack helps Tu Tien take her medicine and watches until she settles. He refuses to let her lift anything. Mother Ly handles dinner. Tu Tien stays on the couch with Anna, letting the toddler lean against her whenever she gets sleepy. After dinner, Jack's work phone starts buzzing again. Missed calls, messages, a reminder that the project doesn't pause just because his heart is tired. He steps into the kitchen and listens to a quick voice note from his site manager. Min Hung wants confirmation of tomorrow's surprise inspection schedule. They want procurement records printed, storage photos, material invoices, everything. Jack rubs his forehead. Even good news comes with pressure attached. He walks back to the living room and tells Tu Tien the truth right away. Min Hung is sending an inspection team tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, full records. Tu Tien's shoulders tense, then she forces a slow breath. Then you prepare tonight, she says. I'll rest. Mother will stay with Anna. You do what you promised. Jack studies her face. Are you sure you're okay? I'm not okay, she admits quietly. But I'm stable, and I'm not hiding anymore. The honesty stings in a good way. Jack nods and kisses her temple. If you feel even a little worse, you tell Mother, you tell me. No delays. Promise, Tu Tien whispers. When the house finally quiets, Jack steps outside to call Officer Thu. She's home, Jack says as soon as Thu answers. Doctor says it's manageable. Good, Thu replies, then her voice firms. About the arson, yes, they confessed. They were hired. Jack's relief drains fast. By who? No direct name yet, Thu says, but they described a middleman? We're checking cameras and phone records. They also said the instructions weren't only burn it. The message was to scare you into stepping back from Min Hung. Jack looks into the dark fields beyond the gate. So this was economic sabotage. And intimidation, Thu says. The goal is to make you hesitate, to make Min Hung hesitate. 2 men in cuffs doesn't mean the people above them are done. What do you need from me? Jack asks. Stay reachable, Thu says. And tell me anything you haven't told me. Competitors, creditors, anyone with motive. Jack's mind flicks through too many faces, too many warnings. I'll come in tomorrow after the inspection, he says. Fine, Thu replies, but be careful tonight. Don't assume you're invisible. Jack ends the call and goes back inside. Tu Tien is awake, sitting on the couch with Anna beside her. Anna is trying to put a sock on a stuffed turtle. Tu Tien's smile is tired but real. You look like you're carrying a rock in your chest, Tu Tien says softly. Jack sits close and lowers his voice. Officer Thu says the arsonists were hired. Someone wanted to scare me off Min Hung. Tu Tien's smile fades. So we're not done. No, Jack admits, but today still matters. You're home, you're safe, and I'm right here. Tu Tien swallows. I hate that my body chose this moment. Jack takes her hand. Then we fight smarter, together. No more hiding. Tu Tien's eyes shine. I'm trying. I know, Jack says. And I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at whoever thought they could use you to control me. Anna suddenly pats Tu Tien's cheek, then pats Jack's cheek too, like she's fixing both their faces into place. The gesture is clumsy and gentle, and it almost breaks him. Jack kisses Anna's forehead. Your mum needs sleep, he tells her. He helps Tu Tien to the bedroom, slow and careful. Anna follows, then flops down beside her mother like a tiny guard. Back at the table, Jack opens his laptop and starts building a neat pile of documents for the morning. Invoices, delivery logs, inspection checklists, the revised terms Min Hung sent. Every page feels like a test, not just of his company, but of whether he can keep his family safe while doing it. Around midnight, he stands to stretch, and that's when his phone vibrates again. A new message from an unknown number. If you want your home to stay peaceful, stop talking to the police. Jack's stomach turns cold. He looks at the bedroom door, at the thin line of light under it, and he understands the shape of this night. 2 good news stories didn't end the war. They just proved someone is still watching. Tu Tien's test results finally come back, and the doctor delivers the first real relief in days. Her condition isn't life-threatening. With medication, rest, and follow-up checks, she can go home tonight. Jack signs the discharge papers, packs her bag, and drives her back to their quiet house, where Anna's sleepy babbling and the familiar yard sounds feel like a miracle. Tu Tien admits she was terrified, but promises to take her treatment seriously and stop hiding pain. Jack, for the first time in weeks, feels his chest loosen. Then his phone rings again. Officer Tu, the police have arrested the 2 men suspected of setting the fire at Jack's work site, and they're taking statements now. 2 fears lift in one day, and Jack finally dares to believe they can rebuild. But the night stays tense. Danger still hasn't left.